I'm a dad. How about getting your mates at Sonic Academy to do a DOMS discount on how does one look for the right mentor? What could possibly be the plot to Titanic 2? What gear do I need to sample a vinyl CD? What's your opinion about EDM/dance music online blogs? Stop clicking clickbait. Do you sometimes make your own percussions? Do you know some DJ/producers, no matter the genre, using Linux? What about the structure of your song? Structure of structures? Hey guys, welcome to the Kane audio vlog. It's Friday. It's time for another Ask Me Anything. Usual rules apply. Comment anything you want below this video. Ask me anything you want and I'll get to you in next week's video. Before I look at last week's comments, house admin. I'm a dad. That's the first thing to say. I have a son. He was born the day after last week's AMA, last Saturday. So good timing because it's given me most of a week to kind of get into the swing of things so I could do this AMA. This is the first bit of work that I've done this week. So yeah, there we go. Couldn't be happier. Both mother and baby are amazing. Yeah, everything is great. I am drinking a different coffee, some McDonald's coffee, don't judge me, only because we were out this morning. We've been up since the crack of dawn because we have a new baby, so we passed a McDonald's and I wanted a coffee on the way back, and now I'm here and the rest is history, or will be, whatever. Other than that, house admin, I don't think there is anything. I'll be honest with you, I have not done any work this week. Like I say, baby was born Saturday lunchtime, so I've not even thought about work since then, to be honest. Yeah, it's as of next week I'm going to start doing some work, but again, I'm sort of trying to take a little bit of time off so that I can just get into some sort of a routine, I guess. Yeah, so I don't really know what else to say. I'm completely unprepared. I'm always unprepared for these AMAs, but today I'm particularly unprepared, but hopefully you guys are all very understanding as to why. Right, let's crack on. I don't know how many questions have come in. Oh, there's a few actually. Okay, cool. So, might be a long one. Let's have a see and find out. Starting at the top. Andrew Hollis. Hi Dom, drive, high five. One question and one blag this week. Question. What does your good lady family think of these videos you do? Is it a case of he's doing one of those videos again? Do you know what? We don't really talk about that, to be honest. They're obviously aware that I do the videos because yeah, I mean, she's downstairs right now and I'm here doing the video, so yeah, I think the thing is when you're self-employed as a music producer, I think it's kind of a tricky one to explain to people sometimes what your job is, because obviously producing music is the fundamental goal. But the reality is there's a lot of admin, there's a lot of social media rubbish, there's a lot of, you know, having to promote certain things at certain times, and there's a lot of doing interviews, and there's a lot of responding to emails and quoting for jobs that you know you're never going to get, but you've got to quote for them because someone's asked. There's a lot of... there's all sorts of stuff involved in the job that isn't producing music. So with that in mind, I think for me personally, you know, being in a long-term relationship, I'm always very sort of clear at the beginning of any relationship to sort of explain, look, sometimes it might seem like I'm not working, but it kind of is working, and I have to sort of try and explain that being in a creative job is a tricky one to juggle and manage. But to be honest with you, I mean, look, I wouldn't have had her become the mother of my child had I not known she was perfect for me. So, my girlfriend is incredibly understanding when it comes to my job and incredibly supportive. She doesn't understand any of it, and that's a good thing, because we don't talk about electronic music, we don't talk about music industry stuff. It doesn't really come up. It's just a job. But she's incredibly supportive and incredibly understanding of where I'm at and where I want to go and how I want to do it and all of that. So in terms of family, what they think of these videos, I don't think anyone really thinks anything of it. My stepson is always on YouTube. I don't think he watches these videos. I'd be surprised if he did watch these videos, because to him they're just boring. Oh, he's talking about music again. Yeah, it's all very, very normal, if I'm honest. I am going to check this message though, because obviously having had a new baby, my family are all visiting and stuff like that. So back in a sec. And I'm back. Yeah, it was family. Right, okay. Don't need that map. Righty. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, so there we go. Yeah, that's that on that question. Cheeky Blag. Okay. How about getting your mates at Sonic Academy to do a DOMS discount on Kick 2? Yes, I did see this comment come through, and I completely forgot about it for obvious reasons. Yeah, okay, I will look into that, because I think the guys at Sonic Academy might be up for a cheeky discount. So let's try and get a discount at Sonic Academy. We'll look into that. Yeah. Herman Katri. Hi Dom, thanks for answering my questions on variations. The point you made at 35 minutes is absolutely brilliant, and now that you've highlighted it, I've realised I have experienced this in the past. There are some types of breaks which compel me to take more rest and make me feel a bit lazy, and some types of breaks make me energetic and get back to work. Thanks man, big help. You're welcome. Question for this week. There are a lot of electronic music mentors at the moment, and many of them are good producers as well. The amount that they charge is $80 an hour usually. As I am from India, this is a bit expensive for me and need to be cautious of investing my savings. How does one look for the right mentor? That's a good question. So I guess the question you need to ask yourself first is, do you really need a mentor? Because I struggle with that. I understand why somebody would want a mentor. I get it. And I think if I was in a similar position, I was learning the industry or whatever today, and I started today, and I had the opportunity for a mentor and I could afford a mentor, then I would 100% go for it. I would definitely book out some studio time, get someone in, and experiment and whatever. And I think that's a great thing to do. But will it guarantee you anything? No. Will it definitely help your productions? Yeah, I guess it'll help you learn things a bit quicker. But without the mentor, you're still probably going to learn the same things, just maybe it'll take a bit longer. Maybe, it'll happen in a slightly different order or whatever. But essentially, learning to make music needs to come from the heart. It needs to be a passion. And I think the same goes for the technology used to create music. That also needs to be somewhat of a passion if you're doing electronic music. Clearly, if you're an acoustic singer-songwriter, then you don't need to know diddly squat about any technology. So I guess that would be my viewpoint. Being from India, of course, it's going to be very expensive for you. But I would be more concerned that you'd be spending your savings on a mentor that you may not need. And the problem is much like music education, going to university and learning a degree in anything from music theory to audio engineering, whatever it is you want to do. Whilst I have said in several of these videos before, I 100% think they are fantastic things and very helpful, and certainly were to me, they didn't make my career. You know, even my engineering degree, which I rely on a daily basis, didn't get me my career, and I think that's the important bit. So I did it for me because I was already a professional producer and sound designer and everything at the time. So I think getting a mentor is a similar thing where they're not going to, having a mentor is not going to guarantee you a job at the end of it. It's not going to guarantee that you get signed to any labels. It's not going to guarantee that you're good at anything. The only thing it guarantees, and even then it's a bit of a loose guarantee, is that you're going to learn probably a lot quicker, and that's about it. So yeah, so I would answer your question with a question of my own, and that's, do you really need a mentor? Or are there plenty of other things around that are available for free on the internet? You know, for example, I'm going to plug myself here. These videos. Ask me anything you want. That's kind of the deal we got going here. And it's free. I'm not charging you anything. Not only that, there are Facebook groups. Again, I'm going to plug my own, the Kane producer group on Facebook. And there's a whole bunch of people in there who are ready and willing to help and give you advice and feedback. And I've seen people posting sales on some plugins or asking a tip on a bit of hardware or a bit of software or a technique, or there's everything in there. And those are the kinds of things that a mentor would give you. You know, if I was mentoring you, these are the things that I would be covering. So that's kind of why the Facebook group is there, is because it allows me to kind of mentor some people. I'm that sounds like I'm blowing my own trumpet. I'm not meaning to, but that's kind of the idea, is that I'm there to be able to offer any advice when I can, you know. But the caveat to that is that it's free. So yeah, I would, yeah, it's kind of a tricky one, because I always again, I've talked about this before, I always struggle with, when it comes to the money side of a career, I always feel like people need to be careful with their money, and I wouldn't want someone to unnecessarily spend their money on things that would be great, but maybe not offering any guarantees or anything. And so it all depends on where you're at with it. You know, there are some things in life I happily pay for because it makes life easier, it gives a better experience, and it's not about end results. And that's kind of where you need to look at a mentor. Would a mentor for you just be a really good experience and something you enjoy, and you have the money and that's great? If that's the case, go for it. 100% brilliant idea. If money is precious, which I think it is for a lot of us, and you've got more time than you have money, then in which case maybe mentoring is not the right thing for you. That's how I see it, but feel free to chime in with your opinions. Raphael sees new upload, runs to make cappuccino. Okay, now I'm ready. Update, drive, high five. Good to see you back again, and good to see you with a cappuccino. I've got a latte today, a toffee latte. Mostly because McDonald's coffees are, well, they used to be bad, but they've got better these days, the last couple of years, if I'm honest. Reality on X production. Me taking a break equals watching anime. Okay, yeah, I can understand that. There's a lot of anime guys out there. So yeah, Drive, High Five, Zombo. Can you tell us about your favourite movies? Mine is Death the Room. Right, you've put a capital D for Death the Room. I'm guessing you mean definitely abbreviated and a mistake of a capital, because I don't know a film called Death the Room. So yeah, I'm guessing you mean the Room, as in... Okay, that's a great film. For anyone who hasn't seen it, The Room, how do you explain it without giving everything away? Essentially, mother and child have been trapped in a room for 5 years, held, captive, hostage. And it's a bit of a twisty psychological thriller? Horror? I don't know what you'd class it as. Brutal is what it is. Mentally brutal to watch that film, but at the same time equally beautiful. Very difficult film to explain. It's an emotional roller coaster, and props to the director. I can't remember who directed that now, but he or she did an amazing job to get across the emotion that is not only dealt with in the captive process, and again, I'm not going to give anything away in the film because I don't want to, but the imagination involved in a situation like that, and the utter love of a mother for their child and the things that they go through to protect that child, is breathtakingly put together. And then of course, great film. As for my favourite film, that's a tricky one. I don't think I could ever say a definitive favourite film. I could probably give maybe top threes or top fives in a genre, but that's about as much as I could break it down. But give you a rough idea, I mean, I mentioned Terminator 2 last week. What a film. And it still stands as amazing today. The director's cut, brilliant film. As for top films, Interstellar is up there. You know what? Wall-E is up there for me. I think it's the greatest love story ever told. I like a few cheesy rom-coms. I like The Proposal. I like Bridesmaids. I like those sorts of films. What else? I am obviously huge sci-fi fan. So, like I say, Interstellar. Obviously, Star Wars. What else is up there in the sci-fi life-changing? There's loads of great films. I couldn't even begin to list them. I think sci-fi is probably the most difficult genre for me to give a top three, top five for, just because there are so many great films, and I think that's probably my favourite genre. I think horrors, I'm not really into horrors because they suck. I'm yet to see a horror film that actually made me scared, and the only ones that I've liked in the horror category are probably more funny than anything else, like what's that 80s one, the New Zealand director, Lord of the Rings director, what the hell's his name? Peter Jackson, his first ever film, Brain Dead. If you're into zombie films and you like a bit of just stupid film, then Brain Dead is the one. I think, if I remember rightly, that is Peter Jackson did it when he was like a student. I'm pretty sure it was Peter Jackson, and they had like a budget of like $1,000 or something, and they basically blew most of the budget on just fake blood for one of the last scenes. I mean, I'm not giving anything away because it's a terrible film, but it's great for being terrible. So there's nothing to give away. As the obvious, gets bitten by a monkey, turns into a zombie type film, and the dude just goes around like this lawnmower, mowing people down at the end. yeah, I like a lot of B movies. I love a good B or a bad B movie. Um, things like Pterodactyl. I think it's LL Cool J in that film. Um, what else? Oh, Titanic 2. It's just, it's like the most stupid film ever. Basically, if you guys are wondering what could possibly be the plot to Titanic 2, it's 100 years celebration of the Titanic, and so they build a new ship in memory of the Titanic, and they call it Titanic 2. And this time it's definitely indestructible. And of course they set sail, and guess what happens? Yeah, brilliant film. Brilliant film. Yeah, so I like a lot of shitty films like that. So yeah, anyway, that's enough about films. And maybe on a serious note, sampling vinyls and how to do it. What gear do I need to sample a vinyl CD? Man, I haven't sampled vinyl for a very long time. These days you can buy really cheap, it depends what kind of quality sample you want, but I would say it'll do. I mean, I've said before, vinyl is not a great quality sound anyway, so if you're just sampling something like a kick or a scratch or the crackle, or something that doesn't need pristine quality, then there are loads of cheap portable record players that will have a USB out, so their own little sound card or whatever, and you just record in through that. Yeah, and it'll just capture straight to MP3 or whatever, WAV, I assume. Yeah, I think if you're sampling vinyl, I would probably go for something like that. You don't, if you were telling me that you had a mint condition 1950s collection of blues on vinyl, and you wanted to cherish and restore them, then I wouldn't recommend a cheap ass USB record player. You'd need something high quality and high fidelity for that, and I'd probably recommend something like some tube preamps and things. But yeah, if you're just straight up sampling a kick or a snare or a hat or a scream or whatever, then it doesn't really matter, basically, is what I'm saying. So yeah, I would just go for some cheap piece of tack off the internet. I'm just going to check my messages again, just in case. No, it's not something in the news. Right, Ricky John, drive, high five. Nice advice on tape delay. I'm sold. Now to convince the missus. Yeah, good luck with that. I remember you mentioning you liked some reggae in your downtime. Fat Freddy's Drop, good stuff. Do you have a favourite song, record, artist in the genre? Hugh Mundell and Pablo, the Dream Team, indeed. Fat Freddy's Drop, yeah, I'm going to see them live in November, actually. Yeah, so do I have a favourite song, record, artist? So I like the more dub side of reggae. I'm a big fan of Mungo's Hi-Fi. I think he is a wicked producer, and I think he does some amazing collaborations. And saw him live in Boomtown several years ago, and he puts out some serious bass lines. So yeah, I would say favourite artist, well, see, I don't know. Again, that same festival I saw Alba Rosie, and again, just mind-blowingly good. It's a tricky one. Yeah, so well, there's an idea. Anything in between Mungo's Hi-Fi, which is like modern techie dub reggae, to Alba Rosie, which is more classic dub reggae. I guess if you were to listen to those two, you'd get a good idea of what kind of sound I like. I like things to be obviously well produced. I'm a producer, but there's definitely a certain kind of sound. I like a little bit of attitude in there, but not too much. I don't like it when it gets really silly, like into the reggaeton and ragga stuff. I like it somewhat happy, but a little bit moody, I guess. Yeah, kind of tricky to narrow it down. Anyway, be lucky and have a good weekend. You too. Thank you very much. Lumbeats. Hey Dom, would it be possible to live stream your 8.22 set? Also, congrats. Thank you very much. I don't know. Possibly. Anyone watching or listening for the first time, we're talking about the Mousetrap event in London in Village Underground Shoreditch, which is a week yesterday. So will I be able to live stream? I don't know. So I might be able to from my end. A lot of it depends on their Wi-Fi, I guess. Otherwise, I don't know if other people are doing it anyway. I'm trying to think through the numerous emails and whatever that I've seen going back and forth. I don't think anyone's mentioned live stream. I'll look into it. It's a maybe, basically. But if there's not already some sort of setup involved, then probably unlikely from me. Mostly, if I'm totally honest, it's because that's exactly the kind of thing I think of doing and then forget on the actual day. So it's unlikely from me. But it is definitely the kind of thing I'd really like to do. Fanfan87. Hello, Mr. Kane. Drive. High five. No question last week and busy with many tracks. 2 good ones and 4 in the bin. Yeah, sounds about right. So I have some questions for this week. What's your opinion about EDM/dance music online blogs? I really don't have an opinion of them, if I'm honest. I guess the only thing I can say is most of the ones that I've known of are just being run to get cheeky promos, which I understand, that's fine. But I think there's a lot of them out there that really don't do much for the artist. There are also some out there that charge the artist money to get a exclusive first play or whatever, and I think that's just silly. If you're running a blog, I think people should be following you because they trust your opinion, not because they trust your wallet. And I think if you're giving people exclusive, first plays and whatever on a popular website because they pay certain amounts of money, I think you're opening yourself up to some issues there because, I know they probably filter a lot of it and they're not going to just play anything. It has to be good. But I feel like, I don't know. I just don't think it's right. So there. Asking because I see many acts complain about them when they emphasise a drama like Deadmau5 Twitchgate, but they are useful depending of their direction, making reviews and events recaps. Yeah, I don't follow them for that. I don't. I'm aware that there was some sort of Deadmau5 Twitchgate drama, but I really don't get involved in that, so I don't know what the deal was. As far as I'm aware, Deadmau5 said something to someone that I guess someone took offence to, which, let's be honest, is no big surprise from Deadmau5. I don't know what he said or whatever, but I know from the couple of times I've met Joel, I think his brain mouth filter isn't 100%, and also I think he's misunderstood a lot of the time. I think he's misrepresented in that respect, because whenever I have seen a lot of the drama that's come out of stuff, what he's said has been pretty much bang on the money, if I'm honest. But anyway, I don't know anything about the Twitchgate thing. But in terms of blogs covering it, I mean, yeah, it's a bit shit, but also I kind of understand that they want clicks, and I would imagine those, you know, Twitter beef we know gets views. As crap as it is, that's the world we live in. And you know, when reality TV rules the world, I mean, Christ, the president of the USA is currently a reality TV star, and not for the first time. You know, that's the world we live in. So I think, you know, blogs, if they're looking for big traffic numbers, they're going to have to cover the beef, basically. So I don't know. I think we should perhaps blame ourselves as the consumers a little bit more and take on responsibility a bit more. So, for example, there are certain newspapers in Britain that I refuse to read. If a friend posts a link to that newspaper, I'm going to say it's the Daily Mail. I won't click on a link ever from the Daily Mail. If I see that in the HTTP link, I'm not going to click it, because I refuse to give them the views, because I know that they make up bullshit stories with a controversial title that will trigger both left-wing and right-wing, and the right-wingers will share that story going, oh, it's an outrageous because of the content, and the left-wingers will share it going, oh, this is outrageous because of the context. And there's only one winner in that, and that's the Daily Mail, who are getting all of your traffic, all of your clicks, all of your ad views, and all of your ad revenue. And that's what makes it the #1 most popular website on news website on earth, or whatever it is. So with that in mind, there are a lot of blogs, for example, where maybe we as the consumers need to start getting together and boycott particular topics or stories or techniques or tricks or whatever, and stop clicking clickbait. We know it's clickbait. You know, we've all grown up around clickbait now. We should know what it looks like and what the warning signs are. Maybe we should stop getting involved. Maybe we should stop watching all this reality TV bullshit that's getting pumped into us day in, day out. I don't know. It's just an idea. Maybe we should start paying attention to quality rather than quantity. But that's just my view, and who am I? 2, aside the kick, do you sometimes make your own percussions using noise for a hat sign? Yes, I quite often use noise for a hi-hat because I like using the LFO on it and extending the decay and making it a bit more free-flowing. I will also quite often use LFO on something like a filter in there and just fluctuate it ever so slightly on random, just to make it feel a bit more real. Doing that with a hi-hat sample is just very difficult, so sometimes it's easier just to add a bit of white noise into it. Outside of that, percussion, I used to, do you know what, the one thing that Ableton had that Bitwig doesn't was the tom designer. Do you know what, Bitwig probably has got that, I've just not looked for it, but I remember the Ableton one was great. Outside of that, I don't really bother. No, don't think I bother too much. And you know, like I've said before in a lot of my videos, a good sample is a good sample, you know, and a good hi-hat is a good hi-hat, and it doesn't really matter where it comes from, and why reinvent the wheel. You know, let's say, for example, a cowbell. I know in my collection of samples, I've got probably several hundred cowbell samples, pretty much every single one from 80s electro to acoustic genuine Swiss cowbell. So I'm not going to bother designing my own cowbell because I have all the samples I need for that. So yeah, so I try not to sort of reinvent the wheel too much there. I'm just going to hit reset on the camera because I can see it's coming up to 30 minutes, and I'm back. Alrighty, so Number 3, do you know some DJ/producers, no matter the genre, using Linux? No, I don't, and I have spoken to several people about this, and there are a few things I have to say, but let's see what you've got to say first. Would you see one day an interest for the OS in music making context? A very welcome feature from Bitwig to be available on Linux, by the way. So, yes, but I remember talking to Dom from Bitwig and asking him how many there were using Linux, and there weren't very many. But one of the issues with that is, so we've got the workstation on Linux, but there still aren't the VST, the plugins, the AUs, the VSTs, the whatever it is they are on Linux. Having recently done some development on web coding to try and get some sound manipulations done, we were initially using a Linux server, and then when it came to the audio manipulations, it was a nightmare trying to find, I mean, we're talking basic stuff here, like a compressor, and admittedly we were looking for non-standalone GUI ones, we were looking for code ones, so okay, slightly different. But when you compared the availability of those on Mac or Windows or whatever, it was worlds apart. It was drastically different. So I think there's a huge gap at the moment. There's a huge lag in the dev market of VSTs, of instruments and effects for the Linux market. So I think until that starts catching up, it's going to be tricky. And I think that we've come so far with Windows and Mac that I think Linux will probably struggle for a very long time for that, which is a shame because I'm a big fan of Linux and I wish I could use it, but fundamentally I'm just blocked from day one as a music producer because there's nothing available for me. So whether it be the basic, I don't know, every day I open up a WAV file using Wavelab, I'm pretty sure that's not on Linux, so I think and it is fantastic that Bitwig have gone Linux and offered to Linux, and I hope that radically changes the Linux community to open up a bit for music production. I still think we're a long way away from having Linux as an everyday music producer's dream. So that's my view. And some opinions about hats. I like to have a main hat quite mono and loud with another one quiet without a transient, well EQ'd and with a big wide reverb just to have a driving part during a drop, and the combination between the two hats doesn't sound like weird. I like that. That's a cool little trick. Anyone watching or listening to this, steal it. No, genuinely, I like that as an idea. So you have your main hat in mono and then just subtly underneath, no transient, but just a wide reverby type hat. I like it. Personally, I'd probably just send my hat to a send channel and have some reverb in there and just call it the hat bus or whatever, and just make it a tight room, super dry, and obviously short decay. But yeah, I like the idea of that. That works for me. So yeah, in terms of layering hats, which I think this is kind of following on from, which we've talked about in the last few videos about layering up hats, that's a definite example that makes a difference. That's something that works and it's creative. I like it. I just subscribed for a month at Sonic Academy to see your Stoic videos and ended up watching many tutorials. Every video is super well documented and for every level. Yeah, I mean, I can't sing the praises of Sonic Academy enough. I'm meaning to do another bunch of videos for them at the moment, some tech tips ones, but obviously having just had a baby, that's been a little bit delayed. But yeah, so good on you for signing up to Sonic Academy. I genuinely, I know I've said it before in these videos that I kind of disagree with the whole cashing in on tutorials type thing, but I do think Sonic Academy offer, it's an affordable subscription, and I think what you get for that subscription, and the fact that you can, if you want, just buy the package of one tutorial session. But personally, I think you're better off just doing a month subscription and binging as much as you can, because there's loads of great series in there. So yeah, good for you. Hyped if you do a Hackintosh video series. Oh yeah, I did mention my stepson's computer. So we've put together the Ryzen PC. We've got it working in the end. User error. It's to do with the seating of the power cable running from the PSU to the GPU. But yeah, got it running in the end. So that kind of made me think, man, maybe a Ryzen is fairly straightforward and easy to build, having rebuilt it 3 times. Now I know what I'm doing, which I guess is always the way with these things. So yeah, maybe I'll consider a Hackintosh. Do you know what? So I did also mention that I've kind of contemplated doing something with my Patreon account, and maybe setting a target where if I can get, I don't know, a certain amount of subscribers or whatever, then I'll hopefully be able to sort of, because there's a lot of monetary goals in life at the moment, like the garden office studio, and of course a new computer, and the monthly podcasts. So I've been thinking that, an iMac is probably the way forward for me at the minute. But if I do that, and once I've got the studio set up and the podcasts are up and running, then I would say, regardless of that, let's aim to do a Hackintosh just for the fun of it anyway. Maybe I'll do a little separate video series of building a Hackintosh purely for music producers, and we'll do that as a little side project anyway, because I think that would be quite good fun. Well, it'd be definitely fun for me, hopefully fun for you guys to watch and see the process and see what decisions we make along the way, basically. So yeah, I am liking that idea, basically. Francesco Di Carlo, awesome. Thank you so much for answering my question. Very enjoyable and useful. Thanks. Tons of questions I'd like to ask here. Just the first few. Those who jumped in mind listening to structures, for example, 1. What about the structure of your song? Structure of structures? Sometimes, do you even compose thinking about the mix of your live gigs? No, I never think about that. I always think about just the music. I don't even really think about sound design too much until I've got a good chord structure or melody or something. It's sometimes I kind of do the sound design first, and I develop a sound where I'm like, ooh, I want this to be something, and then, but I often find that when it's that way around, musically it's not as strong. So I think I might have mentioned before, I used the Labs free, they call it soft piano, from Spitfire Audio. I use that as my default go-to piano to start writing, because I just think it's such a nice natural sound that it allows me to forget about sound design, I forget about genre, I forget about anything. I can just focus on some good chords or a nice melody on top, and I just find that really helpful for composing a song. So I don't think about live gigs at all. I used to write my tracks kind of with thinking of a crowd or a club in mind, but I think over the years I've cut back a bit on gigs, and I think artistically I'm now in a different place, where I think I don't need to be playing club smash bangers all the time. So maybe that's why I don't think about them so much when I'm writing. I've not really thought about that for a while, to be honest, but now I kind of I don't know, I just think differently about my music. It's more this sounds stupid when I say it, but it's more artistic, I guess. or at least that's how I want it to be. I don't know if it is. It still bleeps and bonks, but who knows? Number 2, how do you manage the frequencies of that pink-white noise in Structures track during the studio mix? I think I high-pass filter it as white noise, and I high-pass filter it, and there are moments in the mix, and these are the things I don't think about when I'm writing it. I just throw it together. I might just stick a bit of a high pass filter on it just to get rid of the low end, so I know it's not going to mess around, but only at the very end when I get to the mix is when I start thinking about automation. And I think on Structures with the white noise, I think I automated it up and down maybe 2 dB at any given time in gain, just because at some points it comes across as a bit too loud and other points it's a bit too quiet, but I still wanted it to be a prominent feature. I wanted it to kind of cut through the track. So yeah, but you have to be really subtle with just changing the volume, and again it makes it sound more real, more human, and that's kind of the point. So yeah, there we go. Raphael again. I really hope it doesn't sound greedy of me, but these ones I believe it can help with those who have imposter syndrome, or at least find itself in the self-doubt phase of the journey of becoming pro. P.S. If it is not too much, I can copy and paste on future videos, Dom. I'm already super grateful for your AMAs and time. If you're reading before making the video, I'm not. I'm reading it out live. Please let me know. So I think, oh, I can see you've put in a load of questions. Okay, so I'm going to say spread your questions out, one per video if you can, only because I like your questions, and I do think that I want them keep coming in, but yeah, bring them into next video, because I do have to get cracking on in a moment anyway. And in fact, I think that is pretty much it. We've got is it Yanis or Janice? You never tell me. Lugmelis, drive, high five. Rod Marconi, drive, high five. Zombo, drive, high five. BWO, official, drive, high five. Yeah, so I think with these questions and the AMAs, as they start getting more and more views and more people get involved with these AMAs, it's going to unfortunately get to a point one day where I can't read them all out, which is a shame. But hopefully we'll keep it going as long as we can. But I don't, you know, I kind of have to have a cut-off point with these videos. I think of about an hour is about the max I can do, because I think most people are just going to turn off and get really bored really quickly. So yeah, try and limit to one question, I guess. Maybe, you know, unless they're quick and easy questions, like for example there was one earlier on asking my favourite film. I mean, technically that's a quick and easy question, so have 2 of them. Yeah, but technical stuff, which I know Raphael often asks, which I like, and these are, you know, this is the whole point of this channel, so I'm not telling you not to do it at all. Definitely want those questions, so do keep them coming, but chuck them in for another one in for next week, and we'll get onto that one at a time. That is it, my friends. I think, yes. So if you've made it this far into the video, then comment the word what shall we have? I'm trying to find one that's going to be easy to spell. Ferrari. There we go. It's easy enough to spell. Everyone knows what a Ferrari is. So if you've made it this far into the video, then please do comment the word Ferrari to let me know, and you'll get a high five in next week's video. Yeah, hopefully next week I'll have had a little bit more sleep. Who knows? New baby in the house. It could be a good day, could be a bad day. But yeah, right now it's just utter chaos, but I felt like I needed to do these videos and just get something out there to keep it going. So yeah, I know that there have been a couple of people that have booked in for some mastering jobs, a couple of mix down jobs, so I know those jobs are coming in. Most of the services I provide and whatever, I've put in autoresponders saying that I'm away for a couple of weeks or whatever, or explaining some sort of situation. So I think most people have had an answer. But if, for example, you've sent me a message on my Facebook fan page or even the Dom Kane producer group, I may have seen it. But that's about it. I don't think I've thought about responding. I know on the day of the birth of my child, I did see a bunch of messages come through for something. I can't even remember what it was now. But it was something music related, and clearly I was looking at those going, well, that's not getting answered today. So yeah, hopefully you can understand why now. So please don't think I'm being rude, but if I am being rude, tough shit. So there we go. Hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you same time next week. Have a good one. Cheers.